All right, let's talk about one of the most popular, most researched supplements out there, creatine. But I'll tell you right now, this is about way more than just building muscle. You know, when you hear the word creatine, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably some huge guy lifting weights at the gym, right? I mean, it's been a fitness staple forever. But what if I told you that's only half the story? Yep, that's right. This stuff is just as critical for your brain power as it is for your bicep power. So let's get into it and figure out how this all actually works.
First things first, creatine isn't some weird chemical cooked up in a lab. It's something your own body is making, right now, every single day. Let's break down the biology.
So what is it? Well, it's a totally natural compound that your body builds from 3 amino acids. And get this, while about 95% of it ends up stored in your muscles, that other little 5%, that's hanging out in your brain and your heart, and it plays a super important role. So how do we actually make the stuff? It's a pretty slick 2-step process. It all starts in your kidneys, where a couple of amino acids get together to make a precursor molecule. Then that molecule takes a trip over to the liver, which is kind of like the finishing factory. And boom, it gets converted into creatine. Just like that, you're ready to go. Okay, now for the really cool part, how it actually works. I want you to think of your body's main energy currency, ATP, like a fully charged smartphone. When you do something quick and explosive, like lifting something heavy, you use up that battery, and ATP turns into ADP, which is like the low battery version. Creatine's job is to be a super fast portable charger. It swoops in, slaps a new phosphate on that ADP, and turns it right back into a fully charged ATP. It's our body's ultimate rapid recharge system. And this really says it all. It's that immediate, quick access energy you need in a pinch. We're talking about sprinting to catch the bus, hoisting a heavy suitcase into the overhead bin, or even just having a really fast mental reaction. That's your creatine reserve kicking in. So what does having all this quick access energy actually do for us? Well, the benefits go way beyond the gym floor. We're talking about our muscles, sure, but also, and this is huge, our minds. Let's start with the classic stuff. The reasons creatine got so famous in the first place. It helps boost your strength and power. You know, letting you get that extra rep or push a little bit harder. It also helps you fight off fatigue so you can recover quicker between sets or sprints. But look, this is not just for pro athletes. This is incredibly important for just living and aging well. As we get older, we all start to lose muscle mass. That's called sarcopenia. Creatine helps put the brakes on that, supporting the strength we need for everyday life, whether that's carrying groceries or just climbing a flight of stairs without getting winded. And here is where things get really, really interesting. Your brain is only about 2% of your body weight, but it's an absolute energy hog. It uses 20% of your body's total energy. So creatine acts like a power stabilizer for your brain, making sure it never runs low on juice. This is why studies suggest it can help with memory and focus. And it's even more crucial when you're stressed out, sleep deprived, or tackling a really tough mental task. Okay, so now let's talk about diet, because this is where the story takes a fascinating turn, especially if you're eating a plant-based diet. Here's the key difference. If you eat meat and fish, you're getting creatine from 2 places, from that food and from what your body makes naturally. But if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you're pretty much relying entirely on what your own body can produce. And when you look at this chart, it becomes crystal clear. Everybody makes about 1 gram a day on their own, but omnivores are topping that off with another 1 or 2 grams from their food. That creates this, well, you could call it a creatinine gap. And the result of that gap is exactly what you would expect. Folks who eat plant-based tend to walk around with lower baseline levels of creatine stored in their muscles and, you guessed it, their brains. But now, here is the amazing part. This isn't a disadvantage. It's actually an opportunity. Because those starting levels are lower, research consistently shows that vegans and vegetarians often see an even bigger benefit when they supplement. We're talking more noticeable gains in strength, performance, and even on cognitive tests. Okay, let's bring it all home and talk about the practical stuff. We're going to bust a few myths, cover safety, and give you the key takeaways. All right, let's tackle the #1 question everyone always asks. Is this stuff going to make me bloated and puffy? The answer is a hard no. What creatine does is pull water inside your muscle cells. Think of it like properly inflating a tire. It makes the muscle fuller, better hydrated, and it works better. It is absolutely 100% not fat gain. And what about safety? Look, This is probably one of the most studied sports supplements on the entire planet. It's overwhelmingly considered safe for healthy adults. No, it does not harm your kidneys. The one thing to remember is to always tell your doctor you're taking it, just because it can change the results of some routine lab tests.
And remember, supplementing isn't the only move you can make. You can also focus on giving your body all the right tools it needs to build its own creatine supply. That means making sure you're getting plenty of protein to provide those amino acid building blocks we talked about earlier. And you want to be on top of your B vitamins, especially B12, folate, and B6, because they're all key players in that internal production line.
So, when you boil it all down, who really stands to benefit here? Well, as we've seen, vegans and vegetarians are at the top of that list. But so are older adults who want to protect their muscle and stay strong. And honestly, it's for anyone who wants to give their brain a little extra support for mental energy and focus.
So I'll leave you with this question. Are you really fueling your brain as well as you're fueling your body? We think so much about what to eat for our muscles. Maybe it's time we start giving our brain's energy needs that same level of respect.